So I wanted to show variation of the stacked wall. When I'm designing my houses, I have a series of stacked walls off to the side. So I have all the components that I use. So I simply click on and use the create similar feature. Except for the stacked walls, I haven't had a lot of success using the create similar button. You simply right click on top of it and then say create similar. It works real well for these families, but the stacked walls haven't had a lot of success. So I copy that. I just copy it over and then put it in place. But what I'm wanting to illustrate or demonstrate here is that I have a standard stacked wall, which only has the single height here, and I want this wall to go up to there. So if we go over to well, first of all, let me point the other feature out here. When well, that would not do it. Let's see, maybe this one will. Yeah, when I'm designing the houses, I use two sections. I use the horizontal section, which I call SS, side to side, and I use the front to back section, which I call FB. And if I want to see something, I simply move it over to wherever I want to see. And I find that to be really great until I'm finished, and then I'll put all my building sections in. But of course, I'm showing this on a Microsoft Surface Pro, but I actually work on an ultra wide, which is almost 4 feet wide, and I don't know, maybe 12 inches, 14 inches tall, 16 inches, something like that. So I have several windows open, and they're good sized windows. So when I move this section over, the window is open for the side to side and for the front to back. And it just shows me exactly what I want to see in real time. And so I like that. And I'm not ever curious about, well, what section do I want to look at? It's either front to back or side to side, and I'll just move it wherever I want it to be. It's less cluttered. It's a good event. And then right now I don't have the stacked walls over here. If we went, I mean, they are there, but they're not visible. If we zoom out, we can see them over here. So if I wanted to put in a cabinet or something, I would be picking this more likely from the elevation of the section, but I would just say create similar. And then if it's wall-based or floor-based, it's going to go in. I'm not sure what that is because I usually look at it in elevation, but I would simply just drag it over and place that family wherever I wanted it to be. And I find that to be very, very easy, rather than, going up saying, looking for a family, a component, and then searching through that. I find it to be much easier. Anyway, this probably can move over here for now. But what I want to do is this wall, that's this back wall, is what I wanted to deal with. And I don't have my sections turned on in this one, so I'll go over here just to show. This is the section that I want to look at. That's my front to back. So we'll go to the front to back. On a bigger screen, of course, everything would be wide open. Here's the wall. Here's the wall. I'm highlighting it now. And I'm simply going to change the top constraint to the top of the wall will be the top of the second floor wall. So we'll say top of second floor wall. Okay. Now, what's going to happen here is, oh, that's interesting and unexpected. Not sure why that did this. Does not. Okay, so they put this portion of the wall up to the top of the second floor, but that is not what I wanted. I'm going to undo that. This whole wall. So these pieces should go up too if this is the variable. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this when I drag it over to this screen, but we're looking for the variable, and the variable is the basement wall. So when I stretch that wall up and said make the top of the wall the top of the second floor wall, this whole thing should have gone up. So let's see. See this should stretch, and then I would simply change the height of this. I'm going to look at it one more time and see what the. Oh, and I'm in. I also have my units as. Let's take a look at this. Is what I wanted to do was see the preview. Yeah. So if I click on this guy, that wall is there. If I click on this guy, that wall is there. Brick studs. So these are all components. What I wanted to do was simply raise the height of this wall here. So the bond and the brickledge and then the basement wall, which is the variable. So, okay. And okay, everything is good. If this wall goes up, well, first of all, I'm going to pause it for a second and just change the units. Okay, so what I did was I changed my units to feet and inches. So that makes more sense to me, and I can set that. And what happened is what I'm looking for to happen is that the variable unit, which is the basement wall, stretched in order for all of this to work. And so my question is, well, what do I need? How much do I need to make this wall height in order to get it back to here? So if I put a dimension in here real quick, it's going to be from here, which is the top of the windows, which is 6'10" from the floor. My window heights on an 8-foot ceiling are always 6'10". So this wall height is 17 feet 10 and an 8. Okay, so then I'm simply going to edit this guy and make 17 foot 10 and an 8 instead of that. 17 feet 10 and 1 8. I think we're okay there. Let's say okay and see what happens when we go back and take a look at the wall. Wall is shorter. Well, I think wall is shorter. 17. All right, we'll cancel it out. Again, another mistake here in this demonstration. May or may not be, I want this wall to go from there to there, which is 17 feet 10 and an 8. The total wall height from the top of the wall, which is here, to the bottom here is 30 feet 0 1/4, 17 feet 10 and an 8. Edit this type. 17 feet 10 and an 8. 17 feet 10 and 1 8. Okay, that's looking like what I want it to be. Let's see if we get that error message again. All right, so wall shorter than minimum height allowed by this type. It's 20 feet 11 and must be 21 1/4. That's nuts. I'm going to say delete element just to see what happens. Might have delete the whole wall. Let's see what happens. Well, we have the undo. It looks like it did delete the wall because it doesn't have a room anymore. So we'll say okay. Let's see what happens here. Well, I don't know what happened there because this guy. Oh, I do know what happened. Every wall of this type just changed, which I don't want to happen. I failed to do one thing, which was duplicate this wall first. And so because I had this wall highlighted, this wall, which I call 1-story brick, all the way around the building, every 1-story brick changed. And that's why we got that error message. So I'm going to keep this highlighted. I'm going to duplicate it. And give it a new name. Now, let's see, what would be good? what would be good for that would be, let's change it to 2-story brick. Okay. And then 17 foot 10 and an 8, I think was it. Maybe not, but we will find out. So that's why we got that other error message. We're changing that, but well, this should be fine now. And it is. So now my top of the wall is where I want it to be. And then I have some blocking for my freeze board. And then I have the brick, which comes down to 2 stories all the way. And then my brick ledge and my rim joist and bond area. Everything looks good. Let's go take a look at that back in the 3D. Sometimes I find these tutorials when I watch others, people's tutorials, and it looks pretty good. All right, so look at that. That's exactly what I want to happen, except I really should have split this wall at this floor right here. So there was a mistake on my part. So we'll go up to the modify tab. And we'll split this element right here. And then what I'm going to do, I'll bring that section line over so that we can see this over here. I don't have a section on this floor. I have my section lines turned off. So we'll just pull this guy over just a little bit. Escape, trying to get out of here, hit the modify. I'm trying to grab this guy, and for some reason, it's still active. Escape, modify. I want to move this guy. So, one element is completely inside another, so we'll unjoin those guys. So that's why it wasn't working, because I had an error message, but it was inside of my other monitor. So we should be okay now. Hit the modify tab to clean out the command. And we'll just grab this guy and come over to here. Now this is my front to back, so I'll go to my FB section. And this wall, I'm going to change it back to, we'll click on here and it should come up down at the bottom as most recently used. 1-story brick, there it is. And then we're going to change the constraints or the properties so that the top constraint is the top of the first floor wall. Oh, that's hard to read. Top of first floor wall. There we go. Let's see what happens. It should work. And let's look at it in 3D now. With a bigger monitor, I'm seeing all of this at the same time. So just delete that for just a second. I could have hidden it. All right, undo that. It's looking good. I just need to, for some reason, this guy went all the way over to there. So I'll go back to my second floor plan. I have it highlighted. So by clicking the tab, it'll take me back to the second floor. And I'm just gonna disallow join. And then it's not connected to anything. And I'll just pull it back over to here. Let's see what happens. All right, back to the 3D view. I have a bigger monitor. All of this is You're going to see this at the same time. Yeah, that's really what I want. So I want, this is a 2-story wall. And then these walls here will be 1 story. So that was just a demonstration, a little bit about some of the techniques that I use. And I showed you some of the mistakes that I made. Definitely want to copy the wall and then reduplicate it. Or actually, the other thing is just to highlight it and then duplicate it. Because when you have this wall highlighted, whatever you're modifying, you're actually modifying that particular wall type. And I didn't want to modify all of the 1-story brick walls around the house. And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened with Revit, is it took all of these walls and modified them as well. So I'm going to save that and stop the recording.